Ever felt those awkward vibes when religion and money come up? You're not alone. Welcome to Yahweh's Money, the podcast where we tackle the crossroads of faith and finance. I'm Shay Cook, an accredited financial counselor and the CEO and founder of Crusaders for Change, LLC.
And I'm Vanessa McNally, accredited financial counselor and COO of Crusaders for Change. Join us on our journey as we discuss topics like tithing, saving, and conquering debt through religious perspectives. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Yahweh's Money. Today we're going to be talking about our series of From Debt to Destiny, talking about sleep and women's health. And Vanessa and I will be unlocking the secrets of how holistic well-being is tied to faith and finance. Hey Vanessa, before I go more into that, how are you today?
Shay. Yeah, it's been a week, but hey, you know what? It's okay. We're here, right?
I know we're here and life is totally lifing and kind of over it some days, but you know what? God is still good. So he's going to see us through, and he's like, the problems and the burdens on him. Right. So that's what we got to do to get through this life. But did you know that 60% of women report experiencing sleep disturbances linked to financial stress? I mean, that's crazy. In this episode, we will be talking about the importance of proper sleep in women's health, uncovering how religious beliefs influence both financial well-being and just overall health. So grab your headphones or whatever you listen to when you're listening to us and get ready to uncover the holy path to a restful night's sleep and a healthy tomorrow. Man, I'm telling you, our podcast manager, he be just laying it down with that dang one. Script is awesome. Thank you, TJ, shouting them out there. But Proverbs 19:23 says, "The fear of the Lord leads to life. Then one rests content, untouched by trouble." So this shows the connection between faith and well-being, suggesting that a deep reverence for God can bring about a sense of contentment and peace, which may positively impact sleep and health. I know for me, if I'm not getting
I
sleep,
agree
I am no good.
100%. 100%. And I know I've been dealing with this the last few nights as far as not being able to sleep. And it impacts every bit of your day because you can't sleep at night. You know, you're not rested enough to get through your day. And what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? So let's talk a little bit about stress and sleep quality. So, what can make us not get a good night's sleep? I mean, gosh, there's so much out there. People lay there and they worry about money. They worry about job security, providing for their families. That is a huge stressor. And I can understand, these thoughts keep us from sleeping.
They really do. I mean, if you got a lot of debt, I know there's times
Yeah,
where my debt was high, and I had my student loans, and everybody's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. You can pay it for the rest of your life." And I'm like,
exactly.
"I don't want to pay it for the
Exactly.
rest of my life." Or, you're really wanting to go on a trip or do whatever, when you're younger, it's like, "Oh,
Hmm.
my friends are doing this and I can't," and you're just sitting there worrying about that money. How are you going to get the money? Or I got to go to a job that I
Right.
don't like,
Right.
but I have to make money. So I have to put all that feelings aside and just focus and that's not healthy either. So because you're really going just for money because you don't have a community, you don't have people
Right.
supporting you, whatever your
Right.
situation might be at work, it all wraps into that. And then you're like not getting sleep. And
It's
man,
awful. Or
it's
when
just
you
the
have a
worst.
job
Yeah.
and you know that you could lose that job at any moment. I've been in that situation before where, they have the little
Mm-hmm.
talks of they're doing cuts and you don't know which person is
Yeah.
going to get cut or how many people are going to get cut or when they're going to do the cuts. And it is so stressful to think, okay, I need to save every penny I have today because I have no idea if I'm going to have an office to walk into tomorrow. And that is super stressful on a daily basis. And that's nowhere anybody wants to live, with their daily lives.
Not at all. I know when I was working at Walter Reed back in, I guess it was like the early 2000s or like the late before 2000, it was like
Hmm.
2008 to 2011, and they were doing a BRAC,
Yeah.
so base realignment and closure. And they were moving over to another base. And so we basically were laid off, even though they called it,
Right.
they bracked us or
A nice
whatever.
word,
And
right? A
they were
nice
trying to
word.
place us. Yeah, nice word, but they laid us off. So the Army laid us off. And I remember those few months, actually, they started talking about it. And they're like, "Oh, we're going to give you a stipend. We're going to do all that." But it wasn't
Mhm.
a lot. And I just remember sitting down with my husband and just like, "All right, we got to budget down to
Right.
one salary salary. If you were only going to get paid, thank God I got a job 2 weeks after I was laid off
Hmm.
basically from the army. But those 2 weeks of looking for a job, I mean, I try to keep busy, but God, it was
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
stressful. So, and I'm sure I
Hmm.
wasn't sleeping well. I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to put this all on my husband. Thank God I had him for that, and a
Agree.
lot of people don't. And
Yeah,
so,
it
yeah,
is.
it's
I
a
know
lot.
I've lost a job
It's a
before
lot.
when I was the only breadwinner in my household. And that's a different
Mm,
type of stress too. I mean, thankfully, I just had myself to worry about at that moment. But if I would not have prepared ahead of time for moments like that, I would have been in a world of hurt. Especially when your employer's like, "Oh, we're
yeah.
good, everything's good." During COVID, you know how that goes. Everybody's going to stay
Yeah.
here. We're going to, jobs are safe, and then boom, next thing you know, you get an email, and it's super stressful to live in those situations. But there are other things that impact stress and our quality of sleep, like our age. I mean, I don't know about you, Shay, but I know the older I get,
Hmm.
the harder it is to sleep. Uh, and I think it's just because we have so much going on in our heads. We have so much life that we have lived already, and we have more to worry about as we
Mm.
get older. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it depends
Yeah,
on what's going on in my life. I love to sleep and I can lay in the
me
bed
too.
for a long time. For me, it's
Mm,
gotten harder to get up because so I'm affected differently I'm on a different spectrum. So I sleep good, but then I go to bed really late because
mm-hmm,
I'm trying to get stuff done, and then I wake up later, and the thing is I'm laying there and I just start praying because I'm like, Lord, I just don't even want I face the day. So that could be like signs of my depression returning or whatever,
mm-hmm.
which really never goes away. But it's just like, oh my God, like this is so much going
Yeah.
on. I don't want to get out of my bed. So I
Oh.
just sit there and just like so I mean, I always tell people sleep for me is next to God. I have to sleep. I cannot. And some days I don't, some weeks
Yeah,
I don't get my full 8, 9 hours because as I
I
get older, I need more
agree.
sleep. So, and I think it's because we are doing so much
Agree.
more
Yeah,
during the
agreed.
day.
And then our
So,
lifestyle, what are we doing during the day? Are we
yeah.
staying out late partying still? Are we at home trying to get in bed at 8? Like that plays a part in it too, how we handle that. And then health
Mhm.
conditions. I have restless leg
Yeah.
syndrome, and I don't know if anybody has ever gone through that, but
Mhm.
it is pure hell at night when you are laying there trying to go to sleep
Mm.
because you are so tired and your body literally has to move constantly.
Yeah, my husband, he has his back issues, so he doesn't it's hard for him to sleep in the bed or anything like that. So that
Hmm.
it really affects him. And then, he still gets up and goes to work, but
Yeah.
it's a lot. Because by the time he comes home, he's just done.
I
He's
get that
done.
completely. And then
Yeah.
it's stress levels. If you are stressed to the
Mm.
max, I think sometimes it's really hard for your mind to shut off at night. You know, because
Oh
you
my
have
God.
so many things going on in your head and so many things you're thinking about tomorrow or the next week or how you're going to get through XYZ
Mhm.
that you cannot shut off and shut down enough to get a good night's sleep.
That's why I keep a notepad in my dresser, in my nightstand, or on my nightstand. So if the thoughts are going, I'm like, all right, let me just write it down
Yeah.
because or I have my
Yeah.
journal too on my bed. So I can just write all those thoughts out so I can clear my mind. And I have a big sign over my bed that says, just let it go, give it to
Yeah.
God before you get to bed or something like it. It says it something very more profoundly, but it's like, give it over to God and so you
Right.
can go to sleep or something like that. Cause it's like, your mind is constantly going. That's why I think they
Mhm.
say stay off your phones and
Exactly.
meditate and practice mindfulness like 30 minutes to an
Yep.
hour before you go to bed, which I know we're going to talk about some of those kind of things and
Yeah.
practices to do because if not, you
You
got to
do. You
silence your
do. And that is
mind.
so
So,
hard for some of us.
mm,
And then think about like
mm-hmm.
constant sleep deprivation and how that can
Mm,
bring some negative impacts on your health. I'm very thankful that mine usually comes in waves and I'll have 3 or 4 nights of,
mm,
really rough sleep. And then I'm good for 3 or 4 weeks.
mm-hmm.
But people who,
Oh, good.
this is a constant for them, I don't know how they're getting through
Mm.
their days at
I don't
all. I mean,
either.
it's unsafe
I
too,
don't
you
either.
know?
And yeah, it's not, driving and all that. But then I hear, people that have heart conditions and
Yeah.
diabetes and all of those, yeah, it might be your lifestyle, eating, whatever, but a lot of times it's
Mhm.
because you're not getting enough sleep. And so all
Exactly.
that's
And
connected.
then, if you're deprived of
Mhm.
sleep, can you make fine or good financial decisions? That's the other thing about that.
Mm.
Yeah, because if
Yeah,
your
exactly.
head is not in a place where you can really think things through, even the little things
Mhm.
can add up to debt or to other things that,
Mhm.
cause financial worries. And then most women need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Do you think that's true for you?
Oh yeah, I back in the day I had
Uh
before the
huh.
Apple Watch, I had the what is that thing called?
Oh, a
You could
Fitbit.
oh my god, I can't
No?
think of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Fitbit, yeah, Fitbit. I had a Fitbit bag. I can't believe you remember that. So I had a Fitbit, and I used to wear it to bed every night just to try to, and it
Yeah.
would, keep track of my sleep patterns and everything. And it told me I needed 7.5 to 8 hours, and then later on it said I
Yeah.
needed like 8.5 hours. So
Huh.
yeah, and that's my sweet spot,
Really?
around 8 to 9 hours,
I have
especially
no
for
idea
me.
what mine
Yeah.
is. I think mine's probably like 15 hours. I don't
Uh,
know. I love sleep. I love it when I can get it. And I don't know how busy
yeah.
moms, with multiple kids and after school activities and full time jobs, I don't know how they even get 2 hours of sleep at night.
You
Mm,
sleep when your children sleep. I always tell mothers that. That's what I learned when I
wow.
first had my child. Somebody said, "Sleep when your child sleep." That
Uh,
was the best advice. And every new mom I ever meet since 23
yeah.
years ago when I had my child, I'm like, "Sleep when your child sleeps." That's
Yeah.
how you get sleep,
Yeah.
especially when you got a baby. Like when you and I used to I breastfed my child. I literally would pop that breast out, put it in her mouth, and go to sleep with her because I was just like, because I ain't got time. Wake up, my breast all hanging out, Lord. But it was just like, but I slept and I
Yeah.
slept good because I was like, if Alana's gonna be sleeping, I'm gonna
It's
be
like, let
sleeping.
that
So,
laundry lay,
not
that's
everybody can
fine.
do that. I know. Not everybody
Yeah.
could do that, because they have to get up and go to work. I had the fortunate to be at home with my parents when I first had my
That's
child, so they were
wonderful.
able to take
Yeah.
care of us. And then I didn't go to work
Yeah.
till like 3 months later. But
Oh,
but still, even once you got older kids, like
yeah.
put their behinds to
Yeah.
bed at 8 or 9
Oh,
o'clock, go to bed, and tell them when they get up at 6, 7, or
oh,
5, whatever,
that's
you're
I
rested.
just I feel like
So
so many moms
yeah,
especially, they feel like that's their time to get things done because they don't get anything done when the kids are awake, especially when the kids are little. But
yeah,
and then going back to
yeah.
work after having a baby that's, up all night. I know my mom, she went back to work 4 weeks after having my brother. 4
Oh my
weeks, and I was
God.
less than 2, brand new baby. She had C-sections with both of us, and she was back at work 4 weeks
Ooh,
after, and I have no idea.
wow.
That just sounds like pure hell to me, but
I know it does. Well, Yvonne's a special woman, so that was different for her. But most women is like 6, 8, three
Right,
months, six
right.
months, sometimes even 12 months if you're blessed enough to have a
Exactly.
partner to take
Yeah.
care of the finances and
Or
everything
you live in
outside the
other
home.
places where they
So
give you a year to
yeah.
recover, and spend time and bond with babies,
Well,
so
that
yep.
part, America, we're really behind
Yep,
when it
I
comes to
agree.
that.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
then think about like our access to quality health care and how that can influence our sleep
Mm,
and financial factors too. I mean,
mm-hmm.
there's so many things that play into all
Yeah,
this with sleep and being able to make these good decisions and move forward in our lives and get past debt and get ready for that destiny that we have later on too. But gosh, yeah, there's just so
exactly.
much. And then can a lack of sleep help or cause you to incur debt? Do you think that's something that's a reality?
Oh yeah, I think because I know we've had clients that
Yep.
are up worrying about
Yep.
life's issues, and then they're online shopping.
I do that.
They're in the games shopping. Yeah, when the pandemic was going on, I was on Amazon
Right?
every
Yeah.
night ordering something,
Yeah.
like almost every. And then I was like, oh my god, I have to take this
Yeah.
Amazon app off my phone because this is like just that it's just so much going on, people dying at
Right.
the time, all that. And so I remember a lot of clients calling in the Crusaders for Change
Mhm.
having similar issues,
Mhm.
incurring a lot of debt because we're like, well, we ain't out in these streets. We have to be home. We have to, or, even if you were out in the streets, whatever, it's like something to
Exactly.
get your mind off. Like, let me go to Wayfair. Let me go to Amazon. Let me go to
Mhm. Mhm.
whatever. And so there was a lot of that
Yeah.
going on. And so, yeah, we definitely, I think you can incur debt if you're
I
not
agree.
sleeping.
Yeah, and then,
So,
you have
yeah.
that lack of motivation when you don't get sleep either during the day. So you may not want to cook. You may just come home
Hmm.
and be like, I'm over it.
Yeah.
We're just going to order takeout tonight. And when that
Mhm.
happens over and over and over again, becomes a cycle, that can really impact your savings.
And then what about gender roles and financial responsibilities, right? Societal expectations impact
Hmm.
having this just having the burden of
Exactly.
caregiving, household
Exactly.
management, financial management that was we refer to in the
Yep.
documentaries that you told me about. Well,
Couple of
last year,
years.
2
Yeah.
years ago, a few years, that
Yes.
invisible work. Yeah, that you don't even
Yes.
realize that you're doing
Yeah.
every day. And even if you're outside of the home and you're a woman
Hmm.
that works full time and even the breadwinner of the household, you're still most likely, I would say a high
Hmm.
percentage, 80, 90% or more responsible for all of that caregiving, the
Yeah.
household management.
Yeah.
And even though you have a partner, they're not as involved as you
Right.
want them to be. And, that's when you got to have communications around that. But that can lead to increased stress and sleep
Right. And that's
disturbances, which,
a lot
and
to think
then,
about because
yeah,
you think
that's
about
a
it.
lot.
And if you, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this, the whole invisible work and women doing more. And yes, it is
Hmm.
changing. And that is such a good thing that things are changing. But if you think about it and you are, in a household where there's a male figure and a female figure, usually, okay, the guy will probably take out the trash or whatever, but who has to remind them to take out the trash?
Hmm.
Who has to buy the trash bags? Who has to, there's so many things. Who has to remind them
Mm,
that Friday is the day to take it to the curb? And there's all these extra little
mhm.
steps that you don't think about that adds to your stress level and adds to your work in
So true. I just take trash
a day.
out. I don't even worry about Nate. It's just and he always gets mad. I could take the trash out. I'm not, like you said, I'm not worried about having to tell you get no trash bags. Cause I make sure they're ordered on
Yeah.
Amazon. They come in, you know what I mean? And then I also just take it out. So I eliminate all that
Hmm. Hmm.
by just doing it myself because it's just
Exactly.
too much. It's like,
Yes.
why do I have to remind you what day of the
Well, yeah,
week you
and
got to take
then
trash out?
I think that's
You
when
know?
people
So,
say, "Well, you're just going to do it yourself anyway," and it's like, "Well, there's a reason I'm going to do it myself because it is easier to just do it than tell you 15 things." And I've been in relationships like that. I will tell you, I am thankfully in a relationship where, um, you know, I am dating an adult man, which is which is hard to find. It seems like these days. Um,
they're all
True.
adults, they're just
I
not
agree with
mature.
that too. Yeah, he's a
Yeah, so
mature
he's
man and
very
he's had a
mature, which is
household by
great, yeah.
himself and he knows how to do things on his own.
Mm,
But, there are days where, we'll come in and it's like, if I can only give 20 today, he's going to give 80 so we can reach that 100%. And, I
mm,
will do the same for him. And
yeah,
that is, that's the magic number right there where you can kind of work it out and figure it out between
mhm.
yourselves. But it's still very, very, very rare to have that. And a lot of women do. They have that extra stress on them of just trying to get everything done.
Well, and we also have to take some responsibility that we enable these
Agree.
men or our partners. Even I've seen women to men to men. Somebody's always that
Yeah.
dominant figure in the household that is
Mhm.
enabling the other person.
Right.
So then other person's like, I try
Yeah.
to do stuff, but they just be like doing it and so then that other
Yeah.
person gets used to it and just like whatever they throw their hands up.
Yeah.
It's like, well, the other person gets in, but then you're that other person getting frustrated, like, why am I doing everything? It's like, because you
Yeah.
always doing
Well, and we
everything.
have
It's
standards
just
too, and that's
like,
the other thing
you know.
too. Like somebody's not going to meet
Yeah,
our
well, that
standard.
too. Yeah.
And we're taught these things,
Exactly,
especially as
exactly.
little girls, right?
So
I mean,
true. So
yeah,
true.
I
You
had a
see that in
grandmother
your
who got
yeah.
upset with me when I said I wanted to go to college because she was like, I thought you
Mm.
wanted to be a stay-at-home wife. And I'm like, no, you wanted to do that. But and
Yeah.
thankfully I did not listen to that because I would have been in a world of hurt. But the
Yeah.
reality of it is things are changing. It's just slowly changing. And we're taught by the generation before
Mhm.
us. So it does take time.
And like you saying, the responsibility sometimes of fixing those financial
Exactly.
issues also falls on
Agree.
that person. So, I've seen many clients where both partners are
Yep.
responsible for racking up the debt, but only one person takes the responsibility of fixing that problem, to getting themselves out
That's
of debt,
so
to
hard.
improving their credit, to moving forward with buying the home, for moving forward with the 529, moving
Yep.
forward with the 401k. There's that one person that still takes that role. And usually, I'm not saying it always, but we
We
see this in the
do.
military, mostly still men in the military, and the women are
Mm-hmm.
still taking care of the finances.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, sadly, and I would add to that those religious teachings may
They
reinforce
do.
traditional gender roles, like we said, not only remodeling at home, but also seeing that from the religious perspective, and that can
Right,
cause even more
exactly,
problems.
exactly, especially when
So
you're trying to make,
Yeah.
improvements or change your situation, but religiously you've been told, to obey your husband, but you're trying to do something
Yeah.
that impacts the family for good that will help everybody in the long run.
Mm.
But the breadwinner doesn't
Mhm.
understand the situation because they're not involved in those things. But
Yeah,
yeah, there's so many
exactly.
things that can impact all of this and tie into it. And the way we've been brought up, who we marry, who we end up, partnering with, all these
Mm.
things play a part. And it can be a lot and it can get really twisted really fast.
It really can, and I would add that all that is perfect what you're saying, and I would add to that
Mm-hmm.
is culture, like where you're born. I would even say
Yes.
even regionally,
Yes.
it's different from what
Agree.
region you are in America, or even culturally outside, inside America, or outside of America. All of this looks a little different, and it's very, we see things going over in the Middle East and how
Mm-hmm.
they treat women over there, and it's just I couldn't survive like
Mm.
that. So, prayers for them always when I see that, but I'm sure how are they sleeping over there when they're not allowed
Right.
to be educated? They're not allowed to
Right.
wear what they want to wear. I mean, I just heard about a TikToker that
Mm.
was killed because she
Mm.
did makeup videos.
Yeah.
I was like, wow.
What about our spiritual practices that we have and sleep improvement with that? Are there certain things that we can do on a positive note with spirituality that can help us
Exactly.
improve our sleep quality and promoting relaxation and health and all those things? What are some of those things? I know one thing that a lot of people does is, they definitely say a prayer right before they go to sleep. And I think that can help relax you.
Hmm.
It can bring you back to a place where you need to
Hmm.
be and focus more on, the task ahead, which is getting some good quality sleep. Um, but are there some other things that we can try that you know of?
Yeah, for me, it's all about
Mm-hmm.
that meditation
Yeah.
and prayer. And like you said, and mindfulness
Mm-hmm.
exercises kind of mentioned earlier. I mean, like if I use the Abide app and it's all spiritually based on scripture and it really helps me like settle my mind and just hear a calm voice talk me through. And you can pick anxiety, anger, family issues. Like you can pick a different topic that you're going through in that moment. And I'll scroll through and
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just search it. And it always comes up. So, I think last night I went to bed and I put in something about like just dealing with some stuff with the family and it's like how to deal with difficult
Oh,
family members or
yeah.
boundaries and stuff like that. So that was very helpful, even though I fell asleep and I woke up and I was like,
It
oh, but
worked.
see, I fell asleep. So that was good. So it worked. And I was like, oh, I
Right.
got to cut this
Yeah.
meditation off. And even in the Bite app, I have to give a
Mhm.
shout out for them. It's an amazing app. They have sleep stories too, all biblical based. And it's
Yeah.
just an amazing app. But they have all these, the Calm app, all these different
Exactly.
apps out there that
Exactly.
can, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so much technology, but just, I think for
Yeah.
me, it's just being still, like having just whatever way you can find to be
Right.
still, journaling, meditation,
Yeah.
prayer, music, listening to whatever. That's what it's
Yeah.
all about for me.
I
So
do
what
when I
about you,
can't sleep. I
Vanessa?
do sleep hypnosis, like on YouTube. I'll pull one up,
Oh.
and I try to find one that matches like the issue that I'm having, why I can't sleep. And they have some
Mm-hmm.
that that helps calm your mind. They have some that helps you remember the joys in life. They have some that help with restless legs.
Mm-hmm.
They have some that with any healing pain
Wow.
overnight. So all these little things, and it's such a one off, but there's so many good ones. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
really focus on it, I swear they work. And you fall asleep, and a
Mm.
lot of them will not wake you up for 8 hours. And then you are gently woken up, and it's such a nice wake up when that happens that way. But sometimes, they don't work because you have so much going on in your head and you can't focus on that. I remember being younger, and my mom, she would always tell me this thing that she would do, and it's really just something to kind of quiet your mind. So she would, say a little bedtime prayer, and then she would start her countdown. But she would do it the reverse way. So she would count up from 1 to 100, and she would start at one. She'd focus on the middle of her head, and she would focus on
Mm.
seeing that number in the color blue, because you really have to focus on,
Mm.
okay, one, I have to see it, visualize it, see a color. So your mind has to focus
Mm-hmm.
on this. And then you move on through the rest of your body and go two,
Mm.
three, four. And I swear I never made it past 20. That was the best thing that
Oh,
she ever taught
wow.
me for sleep. But those do come back to spirituality and quieting your mind and kind of throwing the rest of the world
Mhm.
away so that you can have just a little bit of time to refocus and re-energize with, yourself.
And I mean, I really, it always comes back to me, Psalms 46:10, be
Yeah.
still and know
Yeah.
that I'm God, right? Just being still in the God and in him and let him do the work and let the
Mhm.
spirit just work through you. Sometimes it's just that. So what is
Yeah.
that, whether it's that meditation prayer,
Yeah.
sleep hypnosis, sounds like what your mother and aunt were doing were
Mhm.
the chakras, like really focusing on that. The blue is really a
Right.
calming color.
Right.
So there's those whole psychological color things that
Exactly.
really work.
Exactly.
So
And I think a
yeah,
lot
it
of
sounds
times
great.
people think, okay, well, if I'm doing, chakra balancing and I'm meditating and I'm doing yoga,
Mhm.
they think that is like anti religious in the world that I grew up in,
I know, it's
and
annoying.
holistic medicine. I
Yeah.
remember my mom. So, as you know, my mom had
Yeah.
cancer for like 16 years. And she was
Mhm.
always one to say, you can take modern medicine and holistic medicine, bring them together, and they work well. She would always say the same thing goes with, just basic spirituality and your belief in God. They
Mhm.
all work hand in hand,
Mm.
and you can meditate on
Yeah.
God. And I think that's something that we don't talk about
Yeah.
often. But you can meditate on
Yeah.
your relationship with Him, being closer, being stronger in that belief. So meditation is not limited to, just thinking about, yourself and, your auras and your chakras and all those things. So I think we
Yeah.
forget about that.
Yeah,
It
it
does.
all intertwines for me. Yeah, growing up, people are like, it's like voodoo,
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's like really. And then when I started researching it, I was like, what? You can meditate, like just Vanessa's saying, you can meditate on
Yeah.
God, you can meditate on the word, you can meditate just asking the spirit to speak through you and get you through
Exactly.
whatever you're going through. And to me, it's like, whoever thought meditation was voodoo was crazy. Okay. And so, and the chakras, I
Me
totally
too.
believe in that. I believe in astrology, all that. I just feel like God would not have put all these planets and stars here and
Agree.
just to put them in the
Agree.
sky. Obviously, they're
Exactly.
there for a reason. So,
Exactly.
like in the meditations, all of this is
Yeah.
under God's
He's
control,
giving us
people.
tools,
Okay. So,
tools to use.
He's given us all the tools, and they've been using these tools
Agree.
since the beginning of time.
Mhm.
It's in the word. Oh my God, people. So, yeah, struggles with sleep and health do not have to get us off track from following our debt to free destiny. And, I wanted to plug us in there. So, thank you, Vanessa, for doing this. Crusaders for Change counselors, C4C counselors are here to help you and through these debt to destiny journey. We're here to help. If you're having sleep problems and stuff, like a lot of this stuff comes up in our sessions, and we will
Mhm.
refer you to the right expert. We're not experts in this, but we recognize that these are problems that come from the debt. And in order to get to the destiny, you have to work through your sleep problems and trying to improve your sleep, improve your health mentally, physically, spiritually, and relationships with people, work, and all the like, so you can go from debt to destiny. So, any final thoughts?
Yeah, think a lot of us we forget that sometimes just getting this stuff out really helps.
Mm,
So when we do have somebody we can talk to about,
yes.
our sleepless nights and the issues going on, whether it is your financial counselor or a
Hmm.
good friend or a therapist or whoever it is, sometimes just getting it out releases us from that burden and we can sleep and we can, focus on our health and focus on being the best version of us. So take that first step and just have conversations.
I totally agree. I know, I've been going through some stuff with family and work and professionally and volunteering and all this other stuff. And just talking to my family, Vanessa, whoever, getting it out, keeping that close circle though. I'm not out here rumoring it
Agree.
out, and telling everybody my business, but my close circle of people that I can really trust really helps me move from day to day. Cause it's, God doesn't want us to carry these burdens alone. And whether it's debt or relationship issues or health issues or money issues, whatever it is, definitely seek God. So thank you for joining us today. A big thank you for listening to this episode. We hope you found today's chat about the intersection of religion and money insightful. We would love to hear your feedback. Hit that subscribe button or follow the podcast. And please feel free to leave us a review.
Yes. And for the latest Yahweh's Money content, visit us at crusaders4change.org or find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Until next time, stay financially fit and spiritually inspired.
And remember, it's always better Yahweh's way.